teach you how you can help a ghost to cross over. So many of you have experienced the sensation that there is a spirit lingering in your home or lingering around you somewhere. And sometimes you get the impression that this spirit may be stuck. Now, in some cases, you may know who this spirit is. Maybe it's a friend or a family member. And other times, you have no idea who this person is. You may be a medium, and you may even be able to connect with that spirit and talk to them and get some validation as to who they are. And other times, you just maybe have the sensation that someone is around and you don't quite know what to do with it. So in order to help a spirit cross over into the other side, we first have to understand why they are still here. Now, many times, a spirit will linger because they have what we would call unfinished business. This means that there is something that they need to complete on earth before they can feel, I guess you could say, worthy enough of crossing over. And sometimes what it is that they need is forgiveness from their loved ones who are still here. Or they want to be sure that someone found the last minute will that they created. You know, there's different reasons that they will stick around. So in order to figure out what that is, you do have to make contact with that spirit and ask them what it is that they need, what it is that is keeping them here. So you can do that, of course, by going to a psychic medium such as myself. You can also use a ghost box, which I've never used before, but I know many people who have had amazing success with them. You can try channeling through a letter, and so what you do in that method is you simply sit down, you tune into the energy of the spirit that is there. Use caution when you do this, because if you don't know who the spirit is, you want to be really careful about the energy that you're tuning into. So let me just pause this for a moment to say, if you feel any type of anger coming from that spirit, if you feel any type of danger, I don't recommend tapping in. However, if the spirit around just feels, I would say, a little heavy, but feels overall peaceful and, you know, isn't doing anything to cause danger or harm or fright in your home or around you, it's probably a safe spirit to tune into. So just use your best judgment. You may even want to pray about it first and see if you get the green light from spirit, or if your intuition to say, nope, not a good idea, nope, let's hold on right there. So if you get any type of red light, you probably want to call in a professional, which would be a psychic medium, a priest, a pastor, a shaman, anyone who is a little more experienced in working with the spirit world. However, if you do feel like this spirit is just reaching out for help and you feel confident about it and you feel good about it, listen to your gut. It's your best gauge when it comes to spiritual matters, and go ahead and tune into that spirit. And you do that simply by you can close your eyes. That's why I'm closing my eyes. So you can close your eyes and just focus in. Just put your attention on that spirit. And if you're someone who is more clairsentient, you may feel where that spirit is. So you may feel the spirit right here, or maybe over here, or behind you. Just use your best judgment to find out where that spirit is. And as you tune into that spirit, you can ask, why are you here? And what I have found that for most people, they are able to hold their attention and intention by writing the answer down. So what happens now is that the cognitive part of your brain and the more intuitive part of your brain are now working together. So the cognitive part of your brain, where the ego and personality resides, isn't saying, whoa, hold on there. I know that you want to connect with the spirit, but did you forget to let the dog out? And hey, we got to go to the grocery store later. Don't forget to pick up the mushrooms. You know, our cognitive brain loves to get in the way of our spiritual practices. So when we can find a way to include the cognitive side of our brain, it doesn't feel the need to interrupt. It's not like that little child that needs our attention, because now we've given it a project. Now we've given it something to do to work alongside us. So that being the case, you can tune into that spirit. You can ask him or her why she or he is still here. and just feel the answer coming through you and write it down. And don't edit it. Don't try to pause. Don't try to rewrite the narrative. If something comes through that feels weird in terms of, and when I say something that comes through that feels weird, I don't mean from an energy sense. If that happens, stop the meeting, stop the whole thing immediately, and you can ask Archangel Michael to come protect you and cut cords and do whatever. But when I say if something comes through that feels weird, I mean more or less something that you wrote down, something that you thought that doesn't make sense to you. Just keep writing it out anyway, because what can happen and what usually does happen is what doesn't make sense to you today at that moment may come to light within a few days. It'll click. Something will happen. You'll hear a song on the radio that has the line that you wrote down that you never heard before. There's just something that will happen that will put the pieces together for you. It's a very impressive and amazing and magical experience, so trust it. So don't try to edit what comes through. Just feel your way into the message. You may even get visions, or you may hear a voice or get the answers in your imagination. You won't hear them audibly. It's going to be in your mind. So write it all down as it's coming through. And that will give you an idea of why that spirit is still here. And from there, you can decide if this is something that you can help that spirit with. From there, you can also decide if you just need to encourage the spirit to cross over. Because sometimes what will happen is they'll stay behind because they're afraid of judgment. They'll stay behind because they still feel guilty. They may have received forgiveness from the person they want forgiveness from, but they're still kind of holding themselves here. They still feel bad about something. So the good news is that when that's the case, when a spirit is holding him or herself back over an emotion or over fear of, you could even say judgment or fear that they're going to be alone when they cross over, that's when you can inspire them and encourage them, because you can tell them, I understand that you feel guilty about this thing that you did, and I completely understand why you would be fearful in crossing over. But over on that other side, there's no judgment waiting for you. There's no condemnation. You have family members there. Family members you may not have ever even met. You have friends. You have angels. Everything that you need to heal is on that other side. It isn't here. You stay here, you're going to continue to feel this way. So I highly encourage you to at least go check it out. You know what? If you don't like it, you can come back to this plane, which is true. But I've never seen that happen. So just go check it out. And what you can do is, in your mind's eye, you can imagine seeing the light open. You can show them the way. So you might imagine it as opening a door and there's this beautiful landscape. In your mind's eye, you may even just see like a wormhole open up. I'm a sci-fi girl, so that's what I see as a wormhole. You may just see this huge, sparkling, amazing tornado of light. You're all going to imagine it or see it really in different ways. And you know what's amazing? Every way you see it is correct. Every way you see it is correct. There's no wrong way of seeing the portal that leads to the other side. So when you're able to open that up, when you're able to tune into that beautiful energy and see it open up, spirit is able to see that too. And if they're able to see it, that means they're usually, and if you're able to see it, that usually means there's been some type of break and that spirit is ready to cross over. Now, you can't force it, of course. All you can do is show them the way. It's kind of like that whole thing, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Exactly the same thing here. So if you go through all of this and you find that the spirit still doesn't want to cross over, there's probably something more to the story that spirit may not be telling you. It could be that they just really, really love the house that you're in because they built it or their grandparents built it, and so they're attached to the land. There's so many different reasons why a spirit may choose to stay behind. And it's up to you if you want to allow that spirit to linger, or if you need to take other measures to help it to move on. If you tune into a spirit and they're showing some type of regret, or like I mentioned earlier, they have this thing where they want their loved ones to find the will. Well, if they're with you, they're not with the loved one who needs to find the will. So in that case, where you have a spirit that's left behind because they need something to happen, you can inspire and encourage them to go where they need to go to make that thing happen. And you can even give them some suggestions like, hey, go try a dream visitation. Have you tried sneaking into this person's subconscious mind and showing them where this lost article is, or giving them that message? Give them suggestions, because if they're still here and they're in that energy of guilt or remorse or confusion especially, they may not have the ability to think their way through a problem. It happens to the best of us. We all know that feeling when we're alive, and guess what? We have that feeling when we're still alive, but on the other side sometimes. So just offer some helpful suggestions. I actually had this happen to me in one of my first mediumship experiences. There had been a spirit by the name of Andrew who just kind of showed up at my house one day. So with Andrew, what happened was he didn't know he had crossed over. And so he was continuing his business, but he was trying to figure out where his office was. Like for him, it had just up and moved. And I guess that's how he ended up in my house. Like he was looking for his place of work. But of course he'd crossed on, and there'd been like different communities and buildings and homes built on that land since the time he had died. So he was very confused. So I asked him, what is the last thing you remember? And that question jogged his memory, and he was able to recall his death. And once he remembered that moment of death, and once he realized he had crossed over, or not crossed over, once he realized he was dead, but yet still alive, that's when he realized he had to go check on his nephew, and go check on his daughter, and go check on all these different people. And so for 2 or 3 days, I didn't feel him in my home. And then one day he came back and he told me that he had gone and he had seen that his daughter had since had a child and had a baby. And, he actually kind of filled me in on what had happened with his family. But it was important for him to go off and visit them to see how they were doing. And when he saw that they were okay, that everyone's needs were taken care of, he was able to cross over into the light. And so that was a very beautiful experience. So it's possible you may be dealing with a spirit that doesn't know that they've crossed over, who's a little confused by that. And so when that happens, you can jog their memory by saying, what is the last thing you remember? Okay, so I just freaked out because all of a sudden Siri started talking to me, and Siri's supposed to be off. And so interesting. At no point in time did I say, hey Siri, and yet she popped up. And she hasn't been talking to me, by the way. She's been ignoring me. So, anyways, that's one way spirit might get your attention too, is when you're talking about spirit. It may pop up and do what my phone just did. So that was a little crazy, right? Anyways, these are the type of wonderful, magical experiences you can expect when you tune into the spirit world. And I'm laughing at it because I always think these type of experiences are amazing and fun, and Spirit's way of saying, hey, Nicole, thanks for talking about us. Keep it up. And I'm like, you got it. So anyways, so those are the ways that you can help a spirit to cross over. And remember, if you have a spirit who is stuck, who absolutely will not budge, that's when you want to seek out the help of professionals. Depending on the situation, you may want to call some ghost hunters. I don't really like that term, do you? It's like, they're not hunting ghosts, they're not out there, it's like, maybe we should start calling them ghost seekers, ghost helpers. There's gotta be a better name for that, right? If you watch the video up to this point, I just want to know what creative minds we have there. What would you call ghost hunters instead? Put that in the comment section down below. Maybe we can change the industry and come up with a kinder name for ghost hunters. That'd be amazing, right? So, anywho, you can call some ghost hunters if you feel that you need to, if the spirit feels maybe a little more malicious, or maybe there's more than one, if there's something happening you don't like, they're just really stuck, they might be helpful. I'm a huge fan of calling in Reiki practitioners, which I know sounds weird, but Reiki practitioners work directly with energy, and when you cross over, you are pure energy. So it's possible that a Reiki practitioner would be able to send healing light to that spirit to help them lift the burden of guilt or regret or whatever it is that's keeping them here. Because Reiki energy is very healing. So you can actually send Reiki to the spirit world, to spirits. There are so many different people of different spiritual walks that can help you with this sort of thing. The one thing that I might keep in mind, or that I would caution you to do, is I feel that so many times the spirits on the other side are dealing with something that is heavy, that is sad, that is not easy to deal with. Even if it's just, like I said earlier, their grandparents built this home and they don't want to leave it. They've got this attachment to it. You want to approach that with compassion and with love. You know, even if that spirit seems angry or mean or upset or whatever it is, they might have a good reason for feeling that way. They might have died tragically in a way that was unfair. They may have died young. Hell, they may have died old and died of a crippling disease that was just horrible. And so they feel like their passing was unfair. And they don't like knowing that people are living in their house. And I'm sure we can identify with that some way, because even with us, of course, being alive and in the physical plane, we wouldn't want someone just landing in our house and deciding they lived there. You know, so we want to have some bit of compassion and some bit of understanding and empathy. We want to see things from their point of view, so we can approach this in a way that is loving towards them. You know, so I think that whenever we act with the spirit world, we want to do our best to do so with love and compassion. Of course, there are exceptions to every rule, so I don't need to hear your stories on how you had this malicious spirit that was mean and yes, you're right. There are times when being assertive and being aggressive is the way to go. But honestly, guys, most times love, compassion, and empathy is the perfect answer to helping a spirit cross over onto the other side, even if they're a little stubborn about it at first, okay? So I hope that this video helped you. If you have any questions or comments about this topic, you can put it in the comment section down below. And of course, if you have any stories on how you helped a spirit to cross over, I would love to hear that, and I know the rest of the community would too. So put that story in the comment section down below as well. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, I would like to welcome you to the Guiding Echoes community. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe to this channel. Here on this channel, we love to talk about spiritual topics such as the afterlife, consciousness, ghosts, angels, all that good stuff. So if that's up your alley, be sure to subscribe and also hit that little bell icon so you can be notified when I release new videos in the future. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.